Even strong swimmers can struggle with the triathlon swim start. It's something so far removed from normal swim training that it becomes quite hard to practice and prepare for. Diving into the unknown, almost literally, can bring on that feeling of fear and panic. Now, don't worry if you get a bit of anxiety around a swim start, you aren't alone, but the good news is this anxiety can be addressed, and that's where we're here to help. In order to overcome your fears, you need to identify them. Working out which elements of the swim start actually challenge you is going to be the first step. Maybe it's the fact that you're worried you're going to lose your goggles, or you can't breathe enough, or maybe you're not going to see where you're going, you're going to struggle to find your rhythm. The list goes on, and it's quite likely that there's going to be more than one from that list or something else that you are going to struggle with. But by picking those out, you can then start to tailor that plan and working to overcome these fears. You need to know what you're dealing with. What is the style of start that you struggle with the most, and what is the type of start you've got in your next race? It's unsurprising that the mass start is the style that most people struggle with, as everyone is in the water at once, leaving at the same time. And this is when a bit of preparation comes in. You want to assess the course beforehand so you know the line, but also where that first buoy marker is in relation to the start line, because most probably the faster, stronger, and majority of swimmers are going to want to take the shorter, most direct line to that buoy. So you want to avoid that area unless, of course, you put yourself in that bracket with those faster swimmers and you're happy battling it to there. Then the further away you go from that point, the quieter it is likely to be. And you might want to think about where you position yourself in the line from the front. You don't have to be right at the front. If you've got faster swimmers behind you, you don't want them swimming over you. So maybe just take a couple of places back if it's a big event. But do bear in mind that you'll need to maybe work out the paces of other swimmers. So have a bit of a chat beforehand, maybe speak to people who've done that race before, just to get that placement correct. And yes, you might swim a little bit further if you're further down the line or a little bit further back, but it should be far less stressful and actually take up less energy. Well, the rolling start tends to be preferable, but there's several takes on this. Now, some events will put it as a whole age group in one go, and age groups go one after another. Sometimes it can be, say, groups of 6 going every 6 seconds, so you're in pens beforehand and they release a pen sort of per time frame. And other times it's simply a rolling start where all the athletes are in a queue, a little bit like when Mark and I competed at Helvellyn, and you are being set off by a starter, say, every second or so. So it is pretty continuous, but you're all in a line. Now, this does require a little bit of research, also if you're in pens as well, because you ideally want to find swimmers of a similar ability. You don't want to be going out at the front where you've got all the fast swimmers swimming over you. At the same time, you don't want to be trying to overtake a lot of swimmers. So you need to have a little bit of a chat with your fellow competitors. They're probably going to be doing the same as well. So self-seed it, and then you need to make sure you're ready in a rolling start, because once you get to the start of where the swim is, you've got to go. So you need to make sure that your goggles are on, your hat's on. If you're timing it, your watch is ready to go. There is no time for faffing. Preparation is key to anything we do in life, and knowledge is power. The more you know about the course, the more calm and prepared you're going to feel. So if you can watch any races that go ahead before you, make sure you study those and take a close look at the course. And then if it's an in-water start, use this opportunity to get into the water and just suss out how it all looks, because it's amazing how different the buoys and landmarks you might have chosen will look when you're down in the water than they do from being up above. And have a plan. Make sure you know how you want to approach the start. Are you going to go out hard and try and get in front of the masses and then maybe ease off and find your rhythm? Or maybe you want to back off a little bit and take it steady to warm up into it and then build as you go. If you're going to be going off hard, make sure you've done a decent warm up, you've got your heart rate up and you're ready to go. And then stick with that plan, because it is really easy to be influenced by those around you. You think you're going to do something, everyone goes off fast, you get taken with them. But stick to what you have committed to. And once you've worked out that plan, that race strategy, it's a good idea to just walk away from the start, take yourself to somewhere quiet and sit down, maybe even close your eyes if it helps. And then I want you to visualize every part. So even a little bit of your warm up, walking up to the start line, putting your goggles on, being ready, getting in the water, where you're positioning yourself, and then even imagining the gun going off and those first few strokes, how it's going to feel in the water, the intensity of your work in that. And that'll just help you to be that much more prepared when it does physically happen. Now, some swimmers even go to the extent, or some athletes full stop, of going through in their mind of all the things that could even go wrong. This might sound a little bit pessimistic, but once you've done that and you've checked it off in your head and say, okay, what happens if my goggles break? What happens if I go off course, or if another swimmer collides with me? If you've thought about all of those and have some sort of solution or coping mechanism, they're probably not going to happen. You'll be much calmer anyway, and if they do happen, you'll know how to deal with them. However, we are not saying that a smooth triathlon swim start is all in the head. There's obviously the physical aspect to consider as well. It's very different to swimming in a pool, one behind the other. It's even quite different to swimming in a group in an open water setting. However, you can replicate certain scenarios depending on what race start you've got coming up. Try to mix that into your training. Get a few friends to swim in a group with you, and maybe try to get in your way, swim at the wrong pace, swim across you. It doesn't sound very helpful or very nice, but if you can deal with that in training, if it does happen in a race, you'll be far better prepared and you'll be able to calmly get on with that scenario. And then you want to think about how you're going to actually approach the race. So we talked about the start and what pace you're going off. If you're going to go off hard, you need to make sure you've practiced that in training. So you need to actually do some replication of a swim start. So going off hard for however long you want to, and then getting into your rhythm. There's no point in just doing a section of, say, going off hard for 100 meters and stopping, because that isn't a real life scenario. And then come to the actual race day, and you need to be physically prepared again then. So if you're doing a water start, try and get in a little bit earlier and do a little bit of swimming, get your heart rate up if you're going to be going off hard, anything to get your body warm and adjusted to what it's about to hit as soon as that gun goes off. And finally, make sure you've got the right kit for the race ahead. So if it's cold, make sure you maybe have a thermal cap if you need it, and you've checked that all of that kit works properly. And then you give yourself long enough to actually put that kit on. You don't want to be rushing trying to do your wetsuit zip up and it's not done up properly, or your goggles aren't on securely. So just allow yourself plenty of time to be warmed up, be dressed and ready for that race. And it might seem a little daunting that we've made a whole video just about the start and we've covered so many aspects for a tiny part of the race. However, if you start your race the right way with the right mindset and you're nice and calm, it's going to set you up for the rest of the day, and the rest of the swim, the bike and the run will actually feel a lot better. So it is worth investing a little bit of time now. Well, hopefully you guys have had good race start experiences already. If you haven't, share with us what went wrong and maybe what you have learned from that. You can do that in the comments section below. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Give us a like. Why not follow us on our social media to see what we're up to? And you can also subscribe and get all of our videos here on YouTube.